make sure that gets started. And I just want to clarify, I'm not encouraging you to go out and use 12 different tools. I'm going to blitz you with a whole bunch of them right now and show you a few things. If it's a tool you've never seen before, feel free to just ignore that part of the webinar altogether, or if it's something you think is really interesting, you could dig into, but by no means is that was my vision behind this. It's just to kind of share what's going on. All right. So before I jump into a bunch of these tools that are on this extension, apps, and website, if you haven't been on one of these yet, I want to show you what our school district has been working on at the district level. So on the main homepage of our district, for everybody to see, we've got a coronavirus link with this. Just got added. That wasn't here this morning. That's crazy. Stuff gets added to this all the time. We got basically every department at district office is working on documentation and helpful whatever for people. Okay, so feel free to, if people are asking questions, feel free to go here as a landing page, reach out to people if you need help. And then specifically for staff, if you go down to the for staff only link, right there on the front page, you can click right here, or you can go to the resources right here, right? We've got some like how to keep a schedule working remotely and some practical things for you, as well as some resources, some content related things if you were looking for help. Okay, so again, our data team downstairs, our tech team, they've been working crazy hard to make sure people have resources and documentation. If you feel like something's missing, please let us know, and we will make sure we get it up there. All right, so just sharing that out. I want to make sure as many people see it as possible. Shameless plug. Okay, the first thing I'm going to talk about is Google Classroom, specifically rubrics. If you use Google Classroom already, that is awesome. If you don't use Google Classroom, maybe you're thinking, yeah, this seems like I can do this, I can handle that. I just want to briefly touch on the rubrics portion of it all, and then we'll go on to a different tool. So if you go into whatever class you're in, under classwork, and you're creating an assignment, all right, when you're creating your assignment, I'm just going to type in something random, right? Fill out this document below. Okay, and maybe I add a document in for them. I'm going to have it force a copy to each kid. So let's say I want them to have this. I'm going to have them force a copy. I can set up whatever I want here, right? I'm not going to do a whole bunch of Google Classroom things. I'm going to get into rubric. I can add a rubric in, which is super, super helpful for grading. And I'll show you an example of that in just a second. I can also do originality reports, which is basically like turnitin.com. It checks for plagiarism. You can click on this link. It's really easy to kind of understand what it's talking about, but it gives a student a couple opportunities to check their own work before they turn it into you. But I'm going to go with this rubric because I think it's really helpful, right? So if I want to create a rubric, I can just go in here. This is my assignment. I'm going to use scoring, and then I can describe a criterion. So let's say I want to talk about the introduction of that assignment, right? And then I could describe what I was looking for in the introduction. So I'm looking for a complete introduction. I was a math teacher, so I have no idea what I'm even saying right now, But I have used rubrics in math as well. Maybe I should have used a math example. And then I can add as many, I think I can add up to 5 levels, maybe more. I just have to put a point value in for each level, right? So if I want to assign them 4 points for this level or 2 points or whatever, and then I can describe the level like developing, proficient, exceeds expectation, meets expectation, below expectation, right? And I can describe what part of the assignment that would be pertaining to. So incomplete sentences, or like fragments, or run-on sentences, or however you want to describe your criterion for your rubric. All right, and then you can add in more criterions. It's pretty cool. Okay, if you have rubrics that you've already created, you can reuse them. Okay, but I've only created one in this sample class, so that's all I have. And I don't think I have any more rubrics that I can share with you. But if you're a teacher on a class, you can go find the rubric. So let's say you wanted to share a rubric with somebody. You can add them as a teacher onto your Google Classroom, even if it's temporarily, and then they could add that rubric from your class right away. So if I was a teacher, I want to share my rubric, that's a really easy way to do it. I'm sure it's not the only way, but it's an easy way to do it. I'm going to check the chat, make sure I'm not missing anything already. Okay, cool. So let me show you what it looks like when you're grading with a rubric. So I have an assignment that I posted. It's just two people, right? And so I can see that 2 people turned it in, and I have a rubric attached. So when I just click on here, it's going to give me the option to grade their assignments, right? So I'm going to just click in. If you're familiar with grading in Google Classroom, I'm going to show you a couple of things that I think are really powerful here. The rubric is right here. I only had one criterion. I can just grade it like this, or I can break this out into more detail, or I can actually pop out the rubric if I can't remember what I actually wrote. In this rubric, I didn't really write anything, so you can't really see. There's not a lot of detail that needs to be explored. So I can just assign the value right here. If there was another criterion, you'd see it right below. I can add a private comment to the kid. And then here's one that I think a lot of people, we probably haven't utilized this as much as maybe we should now. If you want to create a comment for kids, a lot of people use comments. All you have to do is highlight what you want, and then a little plus sign will come up and you can add a comment. But why not take a screencast of yourself or a video of yourself explaining what you wanted to say, and then post that link into the comment. So, if you use Screencastify or whatever you want to use to record yourself, then you could just share that Google Drive link with the kid in the comment, right? And then they could just click on the link and they could actually hear you talking about their video or their paper instead of them just looking at what you said. Normally, I'd say, well, you see them every day in class, but you won't see them every day, or you might not see them every day, depending on what you're planning. So this is a really nice way to add a personal touch to something where you might not have thought of doing that before. All right, so just my own 2 cents. There's this thing called a comment bank in Google Classroom as well, which I had never used as a teacher, but I think it's pretty cool. You can just add random comments if you use them all the time to the bank, or you can, and then to find those, you just hit like a hashtag or a pound sign, right? And it brings up all your canned comments or your comment bank. And let's say you had like hundreds of these, right? You wouldn't want to like sift through all of them. This is a smart search too. So if I knew it had 80% in it, when I type in 80, it will bring up all the things that have 80 in them. So I can just use that comment and hit comment, and I'm done. All right, so comment bank's pretty cool. And then on a comment that you've already created, you can add it to the bank as well. So if you hit the little 3 dots next to a comment you've already made, you can add it to your bank. So just a couple things with grading and assessing student work on Google Classroom. I think it's really awesome. And then you can return the work if you want to all the kids. You can also toggle between here from kid to kid. So you don't have to like click out of the link, click back in, click out, click back in. You can do it all from just this screen, which is kind of nice. Lori asked if it's better to use Google Meet or Screencastify. It doesn't really matter, I guess. I just love Screencastify so much that I just always pop it up. And then if I wanted to record myself talking, like I can give you a quick example. Here's the webcam. I've got the mic on the camera. For this, I'm going to turn the mic off because I'll get weird feedback because I'm actually recording. But normally I'd have that on, and I hit record. And I can see it counting down. Now I'm recording. Hey, you did a great job. I love reading your writing always. It's so fun. Hey, yay, it's me. Okay, and then I hit stop. Right, and then it's going to show me exactly where that is in Drive. Right, I can just copy this link right here. Okay, so now that I have that video, I can just copy this link. It's copied. I can go back over here. All right, and his writing is really good type stuff here. I can just paste. There we go. So now the kid can click on that link and they can watch me talking about it, which is kind of fun. All right, just a nice way to comment instead of you just typing in things. All right, cool. So that's really it on Google Classroom. There's way more, but I'm not gonna go into a ton of depth on Google Classroom because I got a lot more I want to show you. All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay, Kami. For those of you who have never used Kami, it's really just, it was designed originally as a PDF editor. Just, you were able to write on top of PDFs, and I thought it was super cool. And now they've realized that the teacher market loves this, and they're going to keep going. So there's a couple extensions. This Kami extension right here, if you click on it and you add this Kami extension, it will just basically take you to the home page. But you can also add this screen capture by Kami. And this is a really great way to give feedback to kids. So let me kind of show you just a little bit about Kami. So I'm just going to go to their homepage. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to do a huge in-depth thing on any of these tools. So if it's something you're super unfamiliar with, I would just stay away. Or, you know, if you really want to learn more, you feel free to reach out. We could get together on a meet and we could work, you know, in a smaller setting. If it's something that you think you love and you didn't know it was out there, you just let me know. Okay. So all I did from the homepage was sign in, and I get to this like landing page, right? And you can do a lot of things from this landing page. You can open a PDF or any document from Google Drive, and it will save it as a PDF. Open from your computer. Most of us probably are going to work from Chromebooks, so that's not as relevant. Create a Google Classroom assignment straight from Kami and send it to kids. So if you have like a PDF you want to send to them and let them annotate it, they can do it. And you can use Kami online. You don't have to have the extension in order to use it. And then create a new blank page if you just wanted to use it as like a whiteboard. All right, but I'm going to show you the feedback part, right? So let's say I wanted to open, I had a kid's work, or I had a PDF of kids' work, or I had a Google Doc of kids' work, right? And I wanted to open it. Let's say, let's just say, okay, this is just something random I have. I don't even know what's on it, but let's just say this was a kid's work, right? And this would be hard to do with, you know, 150 kids, but at the same time, all of our work looks super different, right? So if you can give them some personalized feedback, that might be helpful. So Kami's awesome because if you want to, you can just draw right on top of this. The annotations stay with the page. When you save it, you can save the annotations. If you have a touch screen of any kind, the touch screen works great. All right, see, works great. Yeah, okay. If you don't have a touch screen, you can still use the mouse and do it all. All right, it won't draw off of the page because it's a PDF, and that's great. You just draw on kids' work. Like, as a math teacher, kids love when I would just like circle things and write little notes to them in my handwriting and all of that. They love that, right? But you can even, with the teacher tools, which are free to us right now, you can go into markup here. I lied. You can go into comment here, and you've got two options for comment that are video. So a lot of what I'm going to share with you is going to be how to personalize this feedback and assess this feedback with a little bit more than just text, right? Of course, you could write a text. You could give them just your voice, but I can give them a video comment. So let's say I wanted to comment on make sure to sleep this weekend, whatever that is, right? I'm just going to click, and it's going to give me a little dot. That's it. I can change the color of the dot if I want. All right, and then I'm just recording right now. Once I clicked, it started recording. That's it. I hit done. And now there's a video comment right there on my kid's document, right? So I can send this back to them once I save it, and then they could see exactly what I'm talking about. Another example that's pretty cool is the screen capture. So you have to have the screen capture by Kami extension in order for this to work. But when you click on it, it's going to, again, have you put a dot somewhere. Maybe. Okay. To use desktop capture, please select the source to record from. Oh, I have to allow the permissions for audio and video. I don't know why it's not working. I just did this yesterday. I promise it works. All right. Well, I'm just going to explain it to you. I'm not sure why that's not working right now. Also, one of the hiccups of using tech all the time is you realize that it never works always the same way, and you have to kind of just adjust with it, right? And that can be hard for a lot of us who want it to go regimented and perfect. But luckily for me, I just kind of roll with it. So the way screen capture works is it's going to take a video of you doing whatever you want to do. So when you hit screen capture, then I can start drawing and I could explain something to the kid. So I could be like, actually, that's not what you want to do here. What you want to do here is you want to wake up early and go to bed late, right? That's how you get a lot of sleep, which isn't true. That was my plan for the weekend from an earlier webinar. So then I could just record me doing that, and then the video on the side over here would just be me recording the screencast, kind of. Okay, so it's like a built-in screencasting. Of course, you could use another tool or things like that, but if you like Cami and you use it already, you maybe didn't click down to see those, because I certainly didn't, right? So just a couple things. With Cami, you can also just save these. And what you want to do is you want to save the document to Google Drive. And if it prompts you, you want to make sure you save the annotations. Sometimes it won't prompt you. But if you do, if it does prompt you, you want to save it with annotations. So usually under the download, you'll see I want to make it Google Drive with annotations, because those are all the things that I added to it. All right, and then I could send that back to my kids. One other thing I want to show you in Cami. Oh, Heather, I changed the permission on that extension. So yeah, it was an issue yesterday, but I think it should be good today. I think it's, I only put it available for, I think I put it available for staff and for students, the screen capture permission extension. Do they know to click the dot? Well, I don't know, Suzanne, probably not. You know, if you send it back to them, say, click the dots to see my face or something, you know. Of course, with all these tools, there will be a learning curve with the students as well, right? If they've never used Cami, then there's a learning curve, just like with you. So patience is quite a virtue, especially with students learning new tools as well, right? So that's something to think about. One other thing you can do is you can create a classroom assignment. So let's say you have a PDF and you want kids to mark it up, right? Maybe it's something simple that they can just circle things or underline things or highlight things. Okay, so I'm just gonna walk through a couple of these steps real quick. So I'm gonna put it in my sample class for all my students. Mark this work up. Maybe it's like a error analysis for math, and I just want them to circle some of the errors and then try to correct them or something like that, right? Okay, so if I go into Google Drive, I'm gonna find my work that I want them to use. All right, so let's say I want them to do this, okay? And then it's gonna make a copy for each one of them, so then they can mark it up inside of Cami. All right, so that's kind of the idea behind that. So when you assign it, they'll open it up and it will open in Cami. Cool, that's Cami. I really love Cami just in like a normal classroom setting, but I would lean on this tool, but I used it in the classroom, right? So I feel comfortable with the basics, okay? Next would be Pear Deck. Okay, if you use Pear Deck, I did a whole hour on Pear Deck yesterday, but if you use Pear Deck, my suggestion to you, so if you use Pear Deck, you would probably have some type of Google Slides presentation, right? So I'm going to show you this. This is going to be real brief because I'm not going to talk a ton about Pear Deck. But let's say you have Pear Deck and you use it. If you don't use it, you should go back and watch the Pear Deck webinar, because I did it in 45 minutes, so I can't condense that down to like 2. All right, but let's say you're presenting a lesson like you would in Pear Deck, right? You have all your slides set up, everything's set up the way you like it. Okay, and I go to hit present lesson. It's going to take a little bit of time to load, right? And normally it will hold kids on the screen that you're on, and you can move them through the screens and kind of keep them engaged with whatever's going on, right? That's how Pear Deck, that's how traditionally we think of Pear Deck. It keeps you on the screen, you answer the question as a class or whatever, you go through the work, okay? So I'm going to just act like this has started. I would give kids joinpd.com and the code. It is, in this case, super easy to say. And I'm going to X out of that, right? If I need to get those directions back just real quick in Pear Deck, I can do. I can click right there. It's really hard for me not to like I want to explain everything in Pear Deck, but I need to stick to my script. Okay, so what I want you to show you is if you click on the 3 dots and you turn on student paste mode, now you can give kids an asynchronous opportunity to complete a Pear Deck. They'll have to sign in with their Google account. They won't know what other people are saying, and they can click through the slides and answer the questions you want them to answer. So it's a really great way to check on work or just check in on kids, right, and ask them some SEL type questions, which Pear Deck has a ton of opportunities for. And then right down here, you can stop the student pace. But what I would do is I would kick it in motion and I would hit end. And it says your session is currently in student pace mode. Are you sure you want to end your session? And I'm going to click this red button, leave, and allow students to keep working. Because I'm not going to sit there and watch them complete a Pear Deck for, maybe I leave it open for 2 days, right? I'm not going to leave this tab open for 2 days. I'm just going to leave it, okay? So then it's like, oh, where did it go? It's gone. Well, let me show you real quick where you would find more information about your Pear Deck sessions. If you go to the website peardeck.com, which some of you maybe have used Pear Decks and never even been on this website, I completely get it. I'm going to click, oh, I got to get rid of this. I'm going to click teacher login here. And then up here at the top left, I'm going to see home, sessions, and help. I'm going to go to sessions. All right. And you'll see in my status that I have student pace mode right now. Just started, and I can click in back to the projector view, the classroom view, or I can go into the teacher dashboard view if I'd like. If I want to change what's happening with this right now, if I click on the 3 dots, it gives me a couple things. It lets me turn off student paste, which will force them all back onto the same slide, or I can just end the session so people can't get back on it, right? So if I wanted to give them some opportunity asynchronously, then I could do that. If I wanted to, I could run a Pear Deck like through a Google Meet and actually run kind of a synchronous event. But then I would also turn on student pace for kids who couldn't make it to the Google Meet, right? So maybe just think about those things. So that's my little Pear Deck spiel. Everybody has premium in the whole district. We pay for that. I mean, everybody has it now because of coronavirus, but you always have premium. So you have all the features, which include some of the things I just showed. All right, so Pear Deck is very cool. Desmos, if you use Desmos just as like a math teacher because you like the calculator, graphing calculator, or the scientific calculator, I would encourage you to sneak on to teacher.desmos.com. Again, this is not a website that if you've never played around on it, you should just jump right in and invest, because it will take a little bit of effort. But this was like, Desmos is like I love it so much. I love it. As a math teacher, I absolutely love it. So if you go into teacher.desmos.com and you're looking for a specific activity that you want to run with kids, so they've got a lot of activities. They have them all tagged. Desmos is working extremely hard to make sure things are relevant to kids and that kids can use them, right? So let's just go on to one that's random, parallel lines, right? Real quick in Desmos, you can copy and edit an activity if you'd like, or you can add it to your bookmarks if you'd like. They have guides on them. All you have to do to run an activity, if you've never run one in Desmos but you've used the program before, you just create a class code. And you just tell students, once I click this class code, it will tell you exactly what to do. Okay, student.desmos.com, and put in the code. And normally we would try to keep kids paced or whatever, but if you just open up an activity like this and tell kids to go to it, they can freely click through all the slides. It automatically saves everything for them. They don't have to click save. When they're done, they're done. It's already there. And then in the dashboard view, I can see everybody's work really, really easily. All right, so maybe it's not a tool that you've used in the past, and so this is super overwhelming, and that's okay, right? But if it's something that you've like, I know Desmos, but I've never actually taking the time to do that. It's really easy, right? Find something that's already made, hit create class code, and you're good. And then you could also, and then all you have to do to find old work is go into your history, right? So what I did when I was a teacher, I actually ran my midterm and final exam on Desmos. So if I went in here, I could see everybody's work, and if they got it, if I had a right or wrong answer, or if they gave me a response, like I could go in and read it. It's really easy to use. So you can just use these different views to see each question you can click through. Okay. When you want somebody to be done with a Desmos activity, the trick is to just hit pause. So if you hit pause, then the kids can't go to and do anything else on it. So this activity, once everybody was done taking their final exam, I just hit pause. And that was it. All right. I could also talk hours about that, but I feel like I shouldn't. Okay. Flipgrid. Holy cow. This is one like, oh, it's dynamite. I think a lot of people know about Flipgrid. So let's just make sure we remember it, right? So Flipgrid's free to everybody forever. If you've never heard of it, it's basically kids are able to respond to prompts using videos, right? So the way you set this up is you create a grid. Usually the grid would be like your classroom, right? And then inside of your grid, you give people topics to respond to. Okay, so like if I go into this grid here, the topic I gave them was something about lesson feedback. All right, so here's what I would encourage about doing something in Flipgrid. There are settings where you can encourage kids to reply to videos of other students. And I think that's a super powerful tool because, again, these kids are in isolation. They don't see their friends. Being able to reply to a video with a video might really help just some of the issues that we might run into socially in the next couple weeks, okay? So just my 2 cents on using Flipgrid. Again, I would love to spend a ton of time going through all the nuts and bolts of Flipgrid, but for now, I'm just going to show you real quick what I meant by that. So what I meant by the video reply. So if I edit one of my topics that I already have, maybe you haven't done this before, I apologize if I'm going too fast. I should slow down. When you get down to, where is it? Oh my gosh, come on, Jason. I'm doing horrible right now. Oh, that's because I'm in my grid. Okay, when I go into a topic, wow, that was horrible. Okay, I can edit my topic, and then I get a lot more customized settings. Sorry about that. So I can moderate videos. So if I'm worried about kids putting stuff up that's inappropriate, I can do that. I can make the topic active, frozen, or hidden. So if I don't want people to reply to it anymore, I can freeze it so people can still see it. And then I like this one, student to student replies, right? So that's really cool. I can also set a freeze date. So if I want to set it and tell them they have a week, then I can do that. It's a great way. I would encourage you, if you're having a hard time because kids can't write down their work or they're having a hard time expressing that using the computer, they could write it down on a piece of paper, and then using Flipgrid, they could explain their thinking, or they could just show you their work, and that would be another way you could collect work. So using video is really helpful. Oh, Rebecca said something about Desmos. You can create whatever you want out of Desmos, Rebecca. If you're really interested, let me know, and we could. There's some elementary math people that I follow on Twitter who have done some amazing things with Desmos. So if you're interested in younger grade stuff, let me know. Okay, cool. And then the last one on a Flipgrid topic is the feedback part. So you can give kids feedback using rubrics, which is also pretty helpful for kids, I think. Okay. I knew this would be a blitz, and I kind of feel bad, but I'm just going to keep rolling. EdPuzzle. So right now, if you go on EdPuzzle, you can upgrade your subscription. So you get the pro status. The reason why that's important is because you can have more videos. What EdPuzzle does is it takes a video that you created or that was already created, and it puts in formative checks throughout the video. So let's say like at 4 minutes, I want to ask the kids a question, or I want them to respond to a question that was just asked in the video. I can put a little tag in the video, and then they have to respond to that. Okay, so let's quickly walk through EdPuzzle. A lot of people, like I am still in Westland's math department, so I can see all of Westland's math content, which is pretty funny. But if I wanted a random video, so let's say I know I wanted a TED Talk. Like I had a TED Talk in mind, and it was Sir Arthur Robinson. That's who I wanted to find. If you haven't listened to him, he's crazy. Oh, he's not even on there. Cool. So let's go to YouTube. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's Ken Robinson, not Arthur. Okay, so let's say I wanted my kids to watch this TED Talk, and then I wanted them throughout the video to be able, I wanted to kind of keep them honest, right? So I'm going to click on that video, and I'm going to edit it. Okay. So I can cut out parts of the video. So if I don't want them to watch 19 minutes, I can make it shorter if I would like. Okay. I can put a voiceover on a video. So it tells you right here why add a voiceover, right? So if you wanted to explain something that was going on in the video to your kids, you can voice over it. And then the part that most people use is the questions part. So let's say I watch this video through, okay, and let's say right here at 2 minutes and 44 seconds, I wanted to add a question. All right, all I have to do is type in my question, type in my answers. Okay, I can add as many answers as I want, and I can put save. All right, so let's say, what do you think of his accent? Awesome or awesome, right? Because it's awesome. All right, and hit save. Cool. So now there's a little tag at 2:45. They will be prompted to ask this. They will be asked this question. Okay, maybe here I want to put a. Oh, whoops! I didn't mean to move that. Okay, and now maybe here at 5 minutes and 7 seconds, I wanted to add a note, right? And I can add a voice note, or I can just add a regular note here. So I can say, "Are you still watching? Isn't he great?" Okay. Hopefully this isn't what you would make, but for this sake, it's good. Okay, and then I can hit continue, and I'm just adding these little checks in for kids, so I know if I give them a video, there's a little bit of accountability built in, right? I hit finish. All right, and now I'm just going to assign it to my students. Okay, I can see down here 58 other people have already remixed this and added their own comments, which is kind of amazing. So I'm going to hit assign. All right, I created a class already. Again, if you've never used EdPuzzle, probably not the time to start, but I'm just trying to remind you of the tool and the things out there in it, right? So I'm going to assign it to sample class. I'm going to assign it to all of them. I'm going to hit assign, and I'm going to give them a due date. Down here is really helpful. Prevent skipping. Yes, that means that kids can't just slide through the whole video to the 4 questions, answer them all, and be done. They have to watch it all the way through. And then closed captions. I've had a lot of questions about closed captions this week, and so there you go. There's another way you can use closed captions, which is cool. So there's EdPuzzle. How are we doing here? All right. EdgeElastic is one I'm not really going to go into in depth, but just another tool that maybe you've explored it in the past or used it in the past, but using Google logins and it syncs to Google Classroom, it's super easy. If there's a ton of interest in EdgeElastic, I've got some users out there who are absolute experts that could run a Google Meet or something like that if people were interested, okay? And then the last few are all quiz style games. So I'm guessing a lot of you have probably heard of Kahoot. So Kahoot, here's the deal. I had heard of Kahoot years ago, and then I stopped because I wasn't a fan because my kids just lost their mind every time we played Kahoot, right? And then I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. But now Kahoot just keeps adding more and more features, so maybe you come back to it because you're like, oh, this is actually pretty cool now. So here's their little free access to teachers' blog posts, so you can see that. They're giving you some extra features. But all you have to do here, let's see if I can remember how to do this. I'm going to try to find a Kahoot that I want to run with my kids. All All right, so let's find me a Kahoot about, oh, yeah, this one's great. Right here. What is coronavirus? Which is like, I think that's awesome. I actually kind of want to play this Kahoot because I couldn't say I know everything about it, right? So we've got all these different slides and questions built in, right? And Kahoot works on a Chromebook, it works on a phone, things like that. So all I'm going to do is hit play. And I'm going to create, instead of hosting it live like I normally would in class with the board up front and the absolute chaos and the horrible soundtrack of Kahoot, I'm going to create a challenge. Okay, and a challenge means it's self-paced, it's asynchronous, and kids can do it when they want, right? I already have one, but I'm going to create a new one. Okay, so I can tell them when it has to be done by. I can give them the same types of things as I did before. I can randomize the answers. I can turn on or off the timer if I don't want to pressure kids. Personalized learning gives them some questions after the game. Okay, and you can only have up to 2,000 people. So I'm sorry, some of you, it's going to be, no, hopefully that's not an issue, right? Okay, so let's say I wanted them to complete this by Saturday at 10 p.m. I'm just going to hit create. And I can just share this link, right? I can share it out just by copying and pasting it and sending it an email. I can share it with Google Classroom or however I share my things with kids. So now they have a little bit of game-based, and you'll have data on it too, right? You can go into Kahoot and see the reports, and you'll have information about what kids did. So another option for you. Quizzes. I think a lot of people, once Kahoot came out, then quizzes came out, and people were like, quizzes is kind of cool. I like quizzes because there wasn't such hysteria in the classroom, right? It was a little more, a little less chaotic. Kids were actually like trying, right? So let's say if I'm on quizzes, I've used quizzes before, but I've only used it like in a live setting with kids, right? Like I'm sitting there with them, talking to them, and those types of things. Okay. The way you're going to run a quiz is, if you want to do it asynchronously, would be to assign it as homework. All right. So instead of playing live and making the kids log in, which actually could be really fun, right? If you could get most of them to log in at the same time, that could be really fun, especially because, you know, we're social distancing ourselves. But if you assign it as homework, it basically gives you the exact same options as Kahoot did, just it looks a little bit different, right? So let's say that's what I want. If I have classes synced, I have my sample class synced, I can assign it to them. All right. And then once I hit assign game, they'll get a notification of that on Google Classroom, and I'm good to go, right? So I sync that with my Google Classroom, which is pretty cool. All right. And then down here, I can change all the settings that I would normally change. So assign it as homework. I don't love that they call it homework, but it's basically the same as the challenge mode in Kahoot. So you can use that as well. And then the last one is GIMP Kit. I just wanted to share with you that GIMP Kit is, if you've never used GIMP Kit, it's again another one of these gamifying type websites. They're expanding the number of kits you can have, and here's their press release on all of that. But there is also a homework mode, an offline or an asynchronous type mode in GIMP Kit, right? So if I want to play something I've already created, okay, let me go back because I did that really fast. I apologize. I get excited. I really apologize. Okay, so if I didn't have a kit, I could add a new one, right? I could find something in the GIMP Kit library. Maybe, maybe not. All right, well, all right. I'm not going to go through all the steps to making a GIMP Kit. So let's say I have that right. Then I can come down here. You know, I want to keep in join in late. I want to make sure I assign a class to it, right? So I have my sample class logged in, and then I just put it in classic mode. Okay, and then I can start my game just like I would in class. All right, so there you go. Those are the few gamifying ones that I like and I felt like were helpful. And that's kind of it. Yeah, they love GIMP Kit, right? You can You can in GIMP Kit they have like power-ups and things, and if you like the gamifying thing, again, there are experts that have used these with kids like as recent as this week, that if needed, like if there was a lot of interest, I would absolutely pull them in. I know a couple teachers who have shared with me about GIMP Kit, and they've bought the premium subscription themselves because they love it so much. And I am definitely a jack of all trades, master of none when it comes to these types of things. I know enough to be dangerous, and I would try it with my students, but by no means would I consider myself the expert on all of them, right? I just knew I could get you started, and if you had used them before, maybe you didn't think about using the self-paced mode, so it's asynchronous. It's kind of my thought. All right. Any other questions? There's a feedback, in the Google Meet. So before you jump off of here, if you could just fill that out. If this one's not helpful, please let me know. I knew it was kind of a blitz of material, but I just wanted to share out like what the companies had done, where you could get the premium versions, and which ones I thought would work well asynchronously for getting student work. So then you didn't have to worry about them taking pictures and uploading their own, PDFs or whatever. These kind of that's built in for you. Cool. Yeah, sorry I didn't go into super detail on any of the actual programs. Maybe that's what I'll be doing in weeks to come, right? Maybe that'll be what I spend my time doing. So, all right, I'm going to end this recording, but feel free to stay on if you've got a question.